Hey guys, welcome back. We're going to talk today about two-step word problems and finding the average and word problems, essentially. Average, all that good stuff. All right, if you're following along at home, this is lesson 28, Saxon 8-7, the second edition. Let's talk about some of the word problems that we've done so far. Just a friendly reminder, we have some and some went away, some and some more, larger, smaller difference, and then equal groups. Word problems, right? So those are addition, subtraction, multiplication, all that good stuff. What we're going to talk about today is how we can make those into two-step word problems. So guys, get your notes out. You need to be writing notes down as I'm doing them. Example number 1. What we have here is Julie went to the store with $20. She bought 8 cans of dog food for 67 cents per can. So she had $20. She bought 8 cans, and each can was 67 cents. Per can. How much money did she have left? Well, first we have to figure out how much she spent, right? So she had 8 cans at 67 cents each. That would be 67 times 8, right? That's going to give us 56. 6 times 8 is 48, plus 5 is going to give us 53, right? Now, remember, so she had 536 cents, but we don't really say it like that. We take 536 cents and we write that as a dollar, right? So she spent $5.36. So now what we have to do is take that 20 that she had to figure out how much she had left. And guys, if it helps to write with grid paper, that's fine too. What I want you to do is really make sure you're lining up those decimals, okay? So minus 30. All right, so what we're gonna do here is 20 becomes 19, right? And that gives this 10. Now I'm in a position to borrow 9 and make this a 10. Okay, so 6 out of 10, that gives us 4. 9 out of 3, that's 6. Make sure your decimal is nice and lined up and brought down. 19 minus 5 will give me 14. So she had $14.64 left at the end of her trip. And make sure you're using, this is a word problem, so I want you to write it as a sentence. She had $14.64 left. You can just leave it as that. She has that left, right? All right, good. That was example number 1. Let's talk about 2. We're going to talk about averages. Guys, this is a good thing for your notes. Average equals the sum of the numbers, I guess is the best way to say that. The sum of the numbers. And remember, sum means adding things up, right? Divided by the number of numbers, okay? So our average is we add everything up and then we divide by the number of numbers. All right, so let's take a look at one of those examples. For number 2, it says where people were seated, there were 3 in the first row, 7 in the second row, so 3 in the first row, 7 in the second row, and 20 in the third row. What was the average number of people in each of the first 3 rows? Well, to find the average, what we do is add up 20 plus 7 plus 3. 7 and 3 is 10 plus 20 is 30. So there were 30 people. That's the sum right up here. So there were 30 divided by the number of numbers. The number of numbers we have here is first, second, and third, 3. So there was an average of 10 people per row. And really that makes sense because if you took this 20 and you reshuffled them around, you could get 10, 10, and 10, right? Good, excellent. So we'll leave that average up here. Let's do another one. Let's do example number 3. For this guy, we have, on the last test, 5 students in the class scored 100. So for 100, there were 5 students. 4 scored 95. 4 students scored 95. 6 scored 90. And 5 scored an 80. What was the mean of the scores? All right, guys, this is a two-stepper. We've got to figure out all of this. We have to add all those up first. But we don't just add 100 plus 95 plus 90 plus 80. You gotta multiply, right? Since there were 5 people who got 100, that's going to be a score of 500, okay? Now, 95 and 4, let's do some side work over here. 95, 4, this is going to be 20. That's 36, 37, 38, 380, okay? Let's do some more side work. We got 90 times 6. Well, 9 times 6 is going to give me 54. 4, right? Plus that extra 0. So 90 times 6 is going to be 540. And then for 80, 5 times 8 is 40, plus that extra 0. That's going to be 400. And if it helps, that little dash looks like a minus sign. Let's maybe put that as a times, right? The times. Okay, so 540, 400. Good, making sure I didn't make any mental math errors here. All right, so now we're in a position to add these up. The zeros here, and again, this is where grid paper is helpful because you can keep things nice and lined up. 8 and 4 is 12, carry the 1. We have 5 and 5 is 10, 3 and 4 is 7, so that's 17, plus 1 more is 18. All right, going back up to our formula, the average is the sum of the numbers, so that's 18, 20, divided by the number of numbers. And guys, this is where it can get a little tricky. There's not just 1, 2, 3, 4 scores, there are 5, 4, 6, and 5. Well, 5 and 5 is 10, 4 and 6 is 10, so there's 20 kids in this class. 20 kids in this class. Let's use some of our mental math from our last lesson. These zeros we can lob off. Now we can cut things in half, right? Half of 18 is 9. So that's going to be 9, and then half of 1 is 2. Or half of 2 is 1, I should say that the right way. So half of 182 is 91. Hopefully that makes sense. Another way that you could do that mentally is half of 100 is 50, half of 80 is 40, half of 2 is 1. So that will give me 91. So the average is, when you take 182 divided by 2, you get the average of 91. That would be your average, okay? The class average was 91. You could say that as a sentence. Excellent. All right, guys, give those practice problems a try and then come on back. Give those practice problems a try and come on back. So, the practice problems are on 160, by the way, page 160, except for A. Jody went to the store with $20 and returned home with $5. She went $20 and she came home with $5.36. She bought 3 bags of dog food. How much did she pay for each bag? Well, first we've got to figure out how much did she spend? We know she brought that home, right? But we got to figure out how she spent that. So we're going to take $20 and we're going to minus $5.36, okay? This 20 becomes 19. This becomes 10. Now I'm going to make this a 9 so that I can borrow, right? 4, 6, 64, and then 19 minus 5 is 14. So she spent $14.64 spent. She spent that on 3 bags of dog food. So to find out how much each bag is, we're going to divide. So let's do this. 3 goes into 14 4 times, and that gives me 12. Minus that, I get 2. Remember also we forgot to bring our decimal up here. I say we like you probably remembered, I forgot. Okay, so I subtracted here, and when I subtract, I bring down the next number, so that's 6. 3 goes into 26 8 times, because 8 times that'll give me 24, right? 24, and when I subtract, I bring down, that's 2, 4, and that's 8 times. So each bag of dog food was $4.88. Each bag of dog food was $4.88. That's how you would write that as a complete sentence. Absolutely. Good, so those 2-step problems, you gotta be real careful on those, okay? Let's look at B. 3/8 of, so B, 3/8 of the 32 students were girls. How many boys were in the class? So 3/8 of means multiply. Of the 32 students were girls. So times 32 equals girls. Okay? So let's take a look at this. If I put this over 1, right, I can cross cancel. I can divide this by 8, I'll get 1. Divide this by 8, I get 4. All right, so now what I have upstairs is 3 times 4, which is 12. And then downstairs I have 1 times 1, which is 1. I don't need to put 12 over 1. So that means I got 12 girls. 12 girls. If there are 32 kids in the class, how many are boys? And this is assuming that we have just girls and boys. 32 minus our 12 girls would give us 0 to, there would be 20 boys in class. 20 boys. Excellent. Okay. For C, in room 1, there are 28 students. Room 1, 28 students. Room 2, there were 29 students. Room 2 is 29. Room 3, let me put this right here. It's a heavy book. I don't want to accidentally stop recording. Okay, so then for room 3, we had 30 students, and in room 4, there are 25 students. What was the average number of students in those 4 rooms? Excellent. So we're gonna go ahead and add these guys up, right? 30 plus times 3, that would give me 90, but I need to subtract, I'm showing you how I would do this mentally, but there's 2 missing from here and 1 missing from here, so 90 minus 3, minus 3 would give me 87 plus that 25. 7. Apparently I'm talking too loud for my dog. That was him moaning about me talking. Sorry guys. So 7, so that's gonna be 2, carry the 1, 10. So it's 112 students total. So remember averages, we take the sum of them all. And just to be on the safe side, I hate recording these. Somebody else caught that I made a mistake. So if you catch that, let me know. So 112 divided by 4. 112 divided by 4. Let's try that method of cutting things in half, right? If we do that, half of 100, let's do this. Well, half of 100 is 50, and half of 12 is 6, right? So that would be 56 over 2. So if I cut this in half, I'd have 56 over 2. And guys, you can do the old school long division way if you wanted to, 1, 2, like this. You could totally do that, that's fine. I'm just trying to give you some tips for mental math because I think that's helpful. Let's cut in half again. Half of 50 is 25, half of 6 is 3. So 5, 6, 7, 8, so that would be 28 over 1. 28 over 1. So our average in that class is the average class size was 28 students. You best be writing these in complete sentences, guys. Complete sentences. Excellent. All right, let's look at D. What is the mean? And the mean is just another word for average, right? You're gonna find there's other types of averages, but we don't talk about those till next year, I don't think, maybe later on. So the mean of 46, 37, 34, 31, 29, and 24. Notice I'm writing all of these down. Guys, you should be writing these down. Don't be complaining about that. Okay, so that is 14, plus that is 18, plus, so 18, and plus 13, right? For all these guys, that will give us 8, so that's 31. So if we add all these up, we get 31. 1, 3, excellent. So that's 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. 201 students. Let's just double check that I didn't make any mistakes. 46 plus 37 plus 34 plus 31 plus 29 plus 24. 201. Whew. Want to make sure. Okay, 201. So we got, again, finding the averages, we take 201 divided by 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, divided by 6. All right, let's try. Now this one's going to be a little bit harder to cut in half. So what I'm going to do is, let's do the old school way of long division. 6 goes into 23 times with a remainder of 2. 3 times 6 is 18, remainder 2. And when I subtract, I also bring down. 6 and 20 goes into 21 3 times. That's going to give me 18. Now there's a decimal here and a decimal here. So 21 minus 18, that would give me 3. Go ahead and bring down another 0. And when I do that, I get 5. 6 goes into 35 times. So in this case, our average had a decimal. So that's when it's a little bit harder not to do. You can't really do the mental math. So taking a look, the mean of those, 33.5. 33.5. So let me see something to show that you're working and that you're not just doing everything on the calculator. I want to make sure you've got that. All right, that was D. Let's look at E. What is the average of 40 and 70? So 40 plus 70. Again, we do the sum on top divided by the number of numbers, and there are 1, 2 numbers, so that's 2. We do this, we get 110. 110 divided by 2. Half of 100 is 50 and half of 10 is 5. So cutting this in half, we're going to get 55. So the average of 40 and 70 is 55. The very next question asks, what number is exactly between 40 and 70? Let's just say I have this. Let's get this number line here. We have 40 and we have 70, right? 50 and 60. 50 and 60, right? So this is 45. This is 55. This is 65. Absolutely, if we come halfway, notice that this is right at that exact halfway mark. We go 5, 10, 15. From here we go 5, 10, 15. Bam. All you're doing when you need to find the exact middle of two numbers, you just find the average of those two numbers, and that's exactly what they've just shown you here. All right, so that was E. Let's take a look at F. Dan has taken, let me pause this. All right, so I was knocking things over. Chaos. All right, so Dan has taken 8 tests. His lowest score was 80 and his highest score was 95. Which of the following could be his average test score? So he has taken 8 tests and the lowest was 80 and the highest was 95, right? So here's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I'll give 7 a little bit more room. 7 and 8, 95. So he hasn't scored anything less than 80 and he hasn't scored anything higher than 95. So how could we ballpark this? Well, the options are 80, 84, C is 95, and D is 96. Well, guys, if he hasn't scored anything higher than 95, it can't be 96, the average. And the lowest he scored is 80. So even if he scored like 80 on the rest of these tests, on all those, that 95 is gonna bring our average up above 80. So it definitely can't be that. The same with 95. Even if he scored 95 on all of these other tests, because he scored an 80 on this one, it's gonna bring our average down. So it can't be 95. A good assumption would be probably 84 because that would fall somewhere in between here. And although we aren't specifically given those scores, that's a good way to kind of guess. And that's a good idea. You want to have a good idea of what is coming up, or not what is coming up, what is, what a ballpark figure on those are, because once you start using calculators, it's garbage in, garbage out, right? If you're entering the wrong thing or if you don't know what to expect, you're going to have the wrong answers. And so this is a good way to kind of estimate that. Okay, guys, if you have any questions, please let me know. Otherwise, I will see you in class. Thanks again.